Palpatine. Everyone knows him. A hidden Sith Lord of the Chancellor and the darkness from contriving the Clone Wars. But now he's known as something else. He's known as just a zombified marionette. And how did this happen? We're going to be getting right into that. Back in the original trilogy, Palpatine was known as this dark character that we knew nothing about other than that he was the master of Vader. He was supposedly the person who ordered in the Death Star, who made this big empire and started this galactic war between Empire and Rebel. But now we see him as, like I said before, a zombified marionette. A puppet, will I say. In the literal sense that he was been risen from the dead, all because Disney couldn't find anything to pull out of their ass. At this point, what do I say about this? I feel in the new sequel trilogy, it totally ruined Palpatine. Palpatine we've seen in his great moments, like in Return of the Jedi. We saw him antagonizing Luke. And maybe some controversial moments like in... Yeah, I like it, but I've seen people kind of criticize that part. But I feel like the character itself has really been strategized out and was really great throughout the prequels, throughout the original trilogy. This character was a very interesting and intriguing character. And what did JJ want to try to pull out of his ass now because he wanted to make a new villain and subvert expectations? Bring back Palpatine. Of course, that would make fans like it. I feel as if that with Palpatine being included in the sequel trilogy, it undermines a lot of how the story used to be with Skywalkers. The whole reason Skywalker's story started was because of Palpatine. Palpatine made Shmi Skywalker pregnant. He was the one who fathered Anakin. He was the one who led him to the dark side. He was leading to the creation of Vader, along with Obi-Wan, from a certain point of view. But I feel as if with Palpatine now being just pulled out of the grave and put on a stick to be a puppeteer, but played by a puppeteer, I feel like the character's not scary anymore. He's not as intriguing. I feel as if he's just there because they thought, oh, we need to get the original trilogy people here. We need to get the prequel people. Let's get them in here. Get the most money out of our dollar. Just to bang out of our buck. I feel as if there is a bit things wrong with how they've been using Palpatine. Of course, Palpatine wasn't always used good in even the prequels and the original trilogy. But at least we knew that there was a character over behind the scenes. We knew that Palpatine wasn't just this old dark side user who didn't fight. In the prequels, we saw him fight, even at later after his prime. We saw him in all these different formats that saw him as this all-powerful being that becomes such a big impact to the galaxy. But what does Disney do with it? He makes him a, supposedly from other people, a trans activist. Now, when you hear this, what do you think of? When you hear the word trans activist, you don't think of Palpatine. Palpatine, there's no way that they can be saying that he's a trans activist, which I feel is complete and utter shit. I feel as if that this sort of character, in any character in Star Wars, unless you make that character for that reason, they don't represent anything. They represent themselves, and they represent a character arc. Vader, he was known as the antagonist throughout the original trilogy. Even Luke, he was the somehow protagonist. Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original trilogy was this old hermit, but was the teacher to Luke Skywalker for a short time. Even Palpatine had a character arc. He controlled the Senate. He controlled the Sith. He controlled all this war to start all of it just to gain power. There was so much defining factor, but in the sequel trilogy, his character is completely scrapped, all because they said, oh, we need to make Palpatine return, because then it'll make sense. Now, I'm not against the idea of Palpatine being in the sequel trilogy. He started it and he would be ending it. But the factor about it is that Palpatine in the sequel trilogy in this timeline does not make sense. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you do realize something, at the end of Rise of Skywalker, Palpatine said that if Rey killed him, then he would go into Rey. What does Rey do? Not kill him at first, but once that he's grown young again, she uses his lightning powers once more, and Rey battles him with all the Jedi behind her and kills him. Just straight away kills him. Materialism just straight out the window. So let's go back to what he said. If you strike me down, I will go into you, or whatever that line is. I'll play it here. But if you know what I mean by this, he literally said that if you kill me, my soul will basically will go stronger into you. And what did she do? Kill him. The factor is, that doesn't matter how he died. He died regardless. His soul supposedly, I think, at this point, went somewhere. His skin and body might have gotten obliterated, but what happened to his soul? What happened to what was inside Palpatine's body? And which leads me on to why I feel like the ending was stupid. Because it ended a character that supposedly was up in the air, but in this sort of regard, I feel like it was wasted potential. They could have shown something towards the end of the movie that would have made so much more sense. Just have Rey being, I don't care if she goes to Tatooine or whatever to just kill all the Jedi, like kill all the regard to the Jedi Order and bury the lightsabers. Have that. But have her still be conflicting. At least show that there's a glimpse of Palpatine, like at least showing what Palpatine was meaning to do. But I feel as if we won't get to see that, all because Rey became a Skywalker. But I feel as if, in this regard, Palpatine is only just there to be a puppet. He never does anything. He's only there for the original trilogy fans to have a boner. He's only there to really show Kylo, apparently, how to really be in the dark force, and to be a part of the dark side, to have this amazing power, to show that he will become the ruler of the galaxy, even though the Emperor will always be controlling the dark of the galaxy. And what might I add with Rise of Skywalker? Listen to these clips real quick and tell me if you see something suspicious.
I will soon be ready. It will be yours if you do as I ask. Kill the girl.
Alright, now after seeing that clip, now listen to this one.
Long have I waited. For my grandchild to come home. I never wanted you dead. I wanted you here, Empress Palpatine. You will take the throne.
Yeah, a bit hypocritical, right, Palpatine? We're very much in the regard that we see Palpatine wants Rey to be killed. But then later in the movie, he wants her alive. What hypocrisy JJ has written himself into a corner here. That showing Palpatine, I get it. Like, have him subvert expectations. But not if it just sounds stupid, it doesn't make sense. Mainly because the factor is, Palpatine is ultimately the Dark Lord of the Sith. He has always been this major power that we never saw anything above him, other than Yoda. But in the dark side, he was the most powerful being at the time of the prequels, at the time of the original trilogy, at the time now of the sequels. But somehow he decides, well, first kill her because, and then no reason. There's no reason that he wants her dead, and then later in the movie he wants her alive. It just makes no sense. And which I do get, there's some reasoning behind it, but I don't see it, and which means not many people did see it. I'm not just a casual Star Wars fan. I am a hardcore Star Wars fan that takes the lore very seriously and reads up on so much data to make sense of everything. to really regard myself as a Star Wars semi-writer, I take an account of everything. But this ultimately throws everything we knew about Palpatine in the garbage. We don't see Palpatine here. I call him Puppatine at this point. And let's make that a hashtag, by the way. Hashtag Puppatine. As that's what we saw in this one. We just saw basically JJ got put on a pedestal, just got put as a puppet, and Disney shoved their hand up his ass. Because at this point, what is Palpatine now? He is just a puppet. Puppatine. The better way of saying it at this point. But I feel like as if there's not much left for him. For Palpatine to be, from this to be a legend, from him to be this powerful Sith who killed his master, who found the way to cheat death, to become this random background villain who doesn't do much and tries to win, but ultimately doesn't get defeated, but doesn't win either. He's basically the equivalent of the sequel trilogy's Darth Maul. Darth Maul, in regard to how Darth Maul will always fail, he will never succeed in his life, based on what people have said through the trilogies. Palpatine, ultimately, his whole goal now is to basically not win. To not win, not lose, only to confuse people. But I feel as if in this point, there should have been someone else. Someone else should have been this big villain that, like, think about if Snoke didn't die. I get it, JJ got written to a corner because of what Ryan did. But make some sort of character that would make more sense than Palpatine. Because at this point, Palpatine's just there for fan service. And from that regard, I don't know what else to say here. Palpatine for 2020 at this point, with it being that he's setting trends to rights and basically just being a background villain. He doesn't bring that much to the table now. It would have been so much better if we would have seen some other villain that would have been a shock to us, either new or old. The factor is that Palpatine was just not well written. Fine, put Palpatine in the movie. That's perfectly fine. But the factor about what it all is, we don't see the reason how he came back. He got obliterated in Return of the Jedi. We all saw that. But here's the thing. I originally thought of this theory a long time ago, back when Rogue One released, of how the Sith were just transferring themselves throughout all these years, and each of them were just the same Sith Lord, but pieced together with some artificial intelligence from the previous person they transferred their soul into. And in this regard, what does Palpatine say at the beginning of Rise of Skywalker, how he survived?
The dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities some consider to be unnatural.
Oh, sorry, I must have put in the wrong tape. Nope, that's the right line. Nope, that's the exact same line that he said in Rise of Skywalker to solve all of his problems. To solve any condition of how he might have survived, he said the exact same thing that he said in Episode 3. The dark side is a pathway to many abilities, some considered to be unnatural. My ass. At this point, I get it. Like, I literally wrote in how the original trilogy did show how Palpatine survived. He could have survived from the blue light. What was the blue light? That could have been him. That could have been his soul trying to search for another body. That could have made more sense. But you're telling me that he found a wormhole, went into it, and saved himself before he exploded? What hit the Death Star reactor? You can't tell me that a piece of cloth hit the reactor and made it explode. It makes no sense, JJ. And it ultimately flaws this whole connection of Palpatine to the series. Anyway, guys, that is my statement. It has been a long overdue topic for me. I am so angry about it. But anyway, what do you guys think? Leave in the comments below. Subscribe, like, save in playlist. If you enjoy this type of content, tell me what you think in below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this happy little rant about Puppatine. Remember, set the trend, everybody. Hashtag Puppatine.